Fellow Toastmasters, so you want to buy a bicycle. I thank you for asking me. I have lots of advice to give. Not advice about which actual bicycle you should buy, but advice about the things you need to think about as you make this purchase. I have a lot of experience in this topic, but I want to be clear, and I want you to notice that I didn't say experience. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't say expertise, I said experience, and I don't want you to confuse those two terms. When you go to buy a bicycle, there's basically three things to think about. First, where are you going and what is your goal? Are you going out there for fitness? Are you going out there for family time? Maybe you lost your driver's license and now you just need basic transportation. I don't know. The second thing you think about, what kind of surface do you want to ride on? Do you want to ride on the road, on smooth surfaces? Do you want to ride on dirt? Do you want to jump over big rocks and trees? Do you want to do a combination of all those three things? That will depend on what you buy. And the third thing you think about is what kind of outfit you want to wear. Because each of the choices you might make about a bicycle requires a different type of costume, and those are the type of clothes that you have to wear around when you're not actually riding your bike. So as you think of those three questions, that just drives the entire decision about what kind of purchase you want to make. And there's lots of things to choose from. So let's talk about what we can do. First off is what was called a road bike. Now, this is characterized by skinny, smooth tires designed to go on smooth trails and surfaces. You might have called this a 10-speed when you were a little bit younger. If you'll notice in the back typically has anywhere between 10, 11, or 12 speeds. The front has anywhere between 1, 2, and 3 speeds. So it gives you the ability to have anywhere between 10 and 36 different gear ratios to choose from. Why this is important? Because that will matter on the type of riding you're going to do on this. Do you want to go up really steep hills? Do you want to go on sort of rollers? Or do you want to keep it absolutely as flat as possible? Those will decide what you want to do here. Now, this bike is designed for the road, for smooth surfaces. It has no shocks. You're going to feel every bump that you roll over. And the tires themselves, well, don't really want to call them fragile, but if you ride on anything other than a smooth piece of pavement, you're likely to get lots of flats. However, this bike is very fast and very efficient. You can go long distances in a short amount of time, which is why most endurance events, long-term events, are on the road bike. You have different road bikes too, and the differences are comprised of color, obviously, composition, aluminum or carbon, and even brake types. The red tire on this particular bike on the right is indicative of that's actually an industrial type tire designed to run on a trainer. It's actually that bike right there. So next we have a gravel bike. Now, you might be thinking this looks just like a road bike, but you'd be wrong. You notice if you look at the tires, while the same diameter as a road bike, they're considerably thicker and tougher. And as the name suggests, this bike is designed to go on gravel or maybe a smooth dirt path. But you don't want to take it on anything much rougher than that because it still doesn't have any shocks. Every single bump that you roll over, you're going to feel it in your shoulders and your back and your legs. So you really want to be careful about where you're riding this. The geometry of this is also a little different. Geometry is how the frame is dimensions and constructed. And this is a little bit more of an aggressive bike, meaning you lean a little bit further forward in order to go really fast over kind of shorter distances. The next choice that you might take is a mountain bike. Now, mountain bikes are characterized by the ability to go over dirt over a lot of things, wide tires, lots of traction on these things. They either characterized also by having a fork, usually in the front, and oftentimes in both the front and the middle. This is called a full suspension mountain bike. And this bike allows you to jump over trees, rocks, people, whatever, and you won't even feel a bump as you do this. Now, mountain bikes come in 3 tire sizes. And these are tire diameter. So they come in either 26 inches, 27.5 inches, or 29 inches. The difference being the smaller tire is lighter and more maneuverable. The larger tire is tougher and can roll over obstacles a lot better. The important thing to do when you're picking a mountain bike is to decide what size tire that you're going to roll, and then act like everybody else who made a different decision is totally in the wrong. As you can see here, the one on the right is 26-inch, the one on the left is 29. So I only talk smack to the people who ride the middle. We're not done yet. You want a bike that you maybe just want to take to the grocery store, maybe ride around town, take to a bar. Then what you want is a hybrid. Heavy, but bulletproof. This bicycle will take you just about anywhere. And it's really nice these days because you go ahead and buy them on Craigslist. You don't really pay that much for them because when they get stolen from out in front of the bar, then it's not that big of a deal. Now, if you have a buddy you want to ride with, then what you really need is a tandem bike. Tandem bikes are all kinds of fun. In the road bike world and the mountain bike world, however, tandem bikes are also called divorce machines. If you really want to test your relationship, what you want to do is go for a tandem bike ride with your partner. You are either A, going to get divorced, or your relationship will be able to withstand any obstacle that comes in its way. These are a lot of fun. I tend to use this bike as a party bike. It's covered in reflective tape and wrapped in L-wire. It's all lit up and very, very visible at night. Now, if you want to ride on some different kinds of surfaces, if anybody wants to ride a bicycle on snow, and I know some people here live in the snow, then what you really want is a fat bike. And fat bikes are super cool. They sort of look like mountain bikes, but they're characterized by these gigantic tires. They're soft, they have good traction, and they're specifically designed to ride over packed snow and sand. So if you live near the beach or in a desert or in a snow environment, then this is the bike that is the right choice for you to make today. And still another choice, although it's a very controversial choice these days, that's the electric bike. Now they come in all flavors, road, mountain, hybrid, whatever. And they come with various levels of assist, like how much power you can be given. So if you want to ride a fairly long distance with minimal to no effort, or maybe cheat in a major race, then the electric bike is the bike you want to choose for. This is a cruiser type bike. I use this to go to the gym, or basically any place that's within about 5 or 6 miles of my house where I don't want to be all sweaty when I arrive. Okay, so there you have it. A bunch of different bikes that you can choose from based upon how you want to ride. Now, I want to tell you, buying and riding a bicycle can be a harrowing experience. My very, very first bike was a road bike. And what happened was all of my friends had mountain bikes and they kept going out every other weekend and riding a mountain bike and leaving me alone by myself. So I bought a mountain bike. And I'm here to tell you, as you can probably see, that that is a very slippery slope. Thank you very much. I will now open up for questions. Monty, we'll go with you.
Thanks, Rick. Great job. Question number one for you is, can you speak to the best type of seat needed or required for the different types of bikes?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I can, because every bike comes with a different type of seat. And what I would here to tell you, the most important thing when it comes to choosing a correct seat is actually choosing the correct pair of pants. because pants, bicycle pants, of course, usually come with padding. And then how the padding fits, whether it's a boy or a girl, and how thick or thin, how long you expect it to be on the bike, to me, that matters way more than the seat style does in terms of anything else. That's a great question.
Thank you.
Sweta, I think I saw your hand as well.
Yes, I actually have two questions. First one is very simple. Are all these bikes yours, Rick?
I was going to ask.
Yes.
Very impressive. Awesome.
As I said, bicycling and owning a bike is a very slippery slope.
Yeah, we see that. And the second question is, how do I determine the right size for me or for anyone? I think it has to go with the tire size, but please enlighten.
Well, the tire size on bicycles are generally pretty standard, with the exception of the mountain bike. Okay, so which comes in different sizes that has different performance characteristics. Those are generally pretty standard. The right size for you, it's kind of like choosing a pair of pants or choosing anything else that you want to fit for. The best way to do it on a road bike for sure is you straddle the road bike. And if the middle bar kind of wants to come with sort of like an inch of the middle of your legs, to put it delicately, right? That's kind of the best way. The best way that I know to do it is especially on higher end bicycles, is you go get fitted. There are people who do professional fittings where you go to the bike, they help you choose it. And then so many pieces on the bike are adjustable as well. I actually have really long arms for my height. And so that has implications on how you adjust your handlebars and things like that. So the more expensive the bike, the more expensive that fitting can be. But the basic fitting is just stand on it, see how it feels.
Thank you.
Marie Noel, I think you had a question. Maybe everybody could use their question icon there so I can remember who's asking. But Marie Noel, I think I saw you raise your hand.
Yeah, it was actually Shweta's question. If you own, well, let me change it. So if you own them, where do you store them? Do you all have them at your house?
I have a 2-car garage with no cars in it.
Oh, that's good.
So that's, you just ride
Do you
bikes,
know-
that's all.
And
How
there's-
do you prevent from stealing? I mean, you talked about, bikes being stolen, but I would love to go around just with my bike, but I'm always afraid it gets stolen. So what's the best?
Yeah, so if you're running around town, the best way to deal with that. Oh, it's like Ken turned off his camera and it threw my whole view off and I couldn't find myself. Is just good locks. And I tend to, if I'm actually worried about it, I bring 2 locks. Right. And then oftentimes we'll lock to another bicycle or somebody who's with me. So 2 locks, both of them good quality, and then I'm generally sort of okay with it. Parking. Although me and my friends, we've all lost bicycles. It happens.
I have to. Thank you.
All right. Ken?
Yeah, Rick, one thing you didn't address is safety. Is there a discernible difference in the safety of a bike, or are they all unsafe?
Oh man, I don't care about safety. Are you kidding me? No, I grew up motorcycling. I was a motorcyclist well before I was a bicyclist. And if anybody else is a motorcyclist, or even a bicyclist, the one thing you learn is that no matter what you're doing, nobody sees you. Nobody sees you. You're not visible, no matter how big or loud your motorcycle is, or what color clothes you're wearing, or how many lights you have on your bike. So you just ride and assume that. And you wear helmets, obviously, and safety gear. I will tell you, it's sort of funny because I'm a motorcycler and I grew up wearing full leathers. I still do wear full leathers on a motorcycle. And then the concept of going, 30 miles an hour in spandex on a road bike kind of freaks me out, because you know what 30 miles an hour road rash does to you.
Ouch.
Yoli.
Thank you. I have 2 questions. One very simple. When you were describing the mountain bikes, you said that they are also designed to jump people. Have you jumped anybody in your mountain bike?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. How? The person
They just lay down. They just
lay
like,
down?
it's like a stunt. It's like a stunt, you put a ramp down or a tree log with a ramp, and then somebody lays down underneath it with a camera to take a cool picture.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's interesting. Maybe share pictures when in another opportunity. So the other question is, do you have like a chart with the pricing of all of these bicycles?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a good question. And bicycles come in a variety of prices. Like I said, you can go to Craigslist, you can go to a used bicycle shop, and you can find a good bicycle for pretty reasonable prices. Most of the hybrid bike I got on Craigslist, the tandem bike I bought off Craigslist for like $300. The first road bike is not a $300 bike. It's a carbon bike, it's custom fit, it's custom painted, it's not inexpensive. So but you can get a functional bicycle from $100. And then a professional bicycle, which none of these are today that you saw, a professional bicycle would be $10,000. So it really goes the whole realm of how much performance you want to do.
Okay, thank you. I'll let other ones ask. I like bicycles, so I will have more questions, but I will let the other ones have more questions.
Okay, Oksana, I see you.
Yeah, when I rode a bicycle last time, it was in the 80s in the country that doesn't exist anymore. Our choices of bicycles were just 2. you have a bike or you don't have a bike. That's our choices. And I remember the bike that I had, I have no idea how old it was or where it was from. The seat was much lower than the bikes here in the US. So you kind of sit more in a natural position than leaning forward. The question is, why is that? Why bikes from the past were kind of more straight? Why are we leaning so much forward now? What's the benefit of it?
Speed and performance. Generally, the powertrain, which is your legs turning and where they're providing power. And as your leg comes around the front part of the pedal is actually where your stroke, your physical stroke is stronger. And what you kind of want is when your foot is at the top of the stroke, just starting the downward power stroke, you want your thigh to be level, to be parallel to the ground. And so that's why bicycles have kind of gotten a little bit more upright in the seat and maybe even a little bit more leaned over in the front. And it has to do with power efficiency in the human body. Which is why if you don't care about power and efficiency and you get an electric bike, then you can get a nice low seat and a cruiser bike and just sit back and cruise. But if you're powering yourself, then you probably care at some level over power and efficiency and you want a different kind of seat. Andrew.
Oh, yes, Rick, thank you. Quick question regarding e-bikes and if you have experience with them. And of course, there is like a rear wheel powered e-bikes, and you have the ones that are like in the middle, mid shaft, I think they call them.
Yep.
Interesting to hear about that.
All right, so I'm a recent convert to e-bikes. Used to always laugh at them. I still do mountain bike races and they have e-bike categories. And if somebody passes me on an e-bike, I usually holler out cheater because that's what they are. But it's definitely helpful in terms of just sort of getting around and transportation. Mid-shaft bikes, here's my take on it. Anything that doesn't obviously look like an e-bike, but is cheating. Right? So a mid-shaft bike where the motor's kind of stuck there and it's not immediately obvious, then I consider that you're probably trying to race and get away with it. You know, and also like the bike that I showed that has a big battery, that battery lasts for like, 30, 40, 50 miles, because I can use that battery, where the mid-shaft batteries are significantly less and generally more assist, right? Not power, but assist, because you actually have to pedal in order to get assistance, as opposed to a bigger battery where you can actually maybe have a small throttle. So I'm kind of a fan of it from a transportation perspective and accessibility perspective, not necessarily if you're like trying to race or do some kind of big event. Monty, I see you back for round two.
Round two. Yes, just a quick question. I was wondering if you could provide a little bit of information on, at least from what you know, as far as best purpose use for recumbent bikes.
Oh, man. That's a good question, and I have zero information on that. Zero. What I'd suggest is do a little webhead work and see myself. I see them out there, and they freak me out. They freak me out because I talked already about not being seen, and I mean, I'm someone who looks for bicycles and motorcycles, and I never see recumbent bikes. I mean, they're out there. Yeah. I never notice them. I guess a better way to say that. So. They freak. I did a bicycle event here in Morgan Hill 2 weeks ago, and there are two recumbents that I saw, and it just freaked me out. I don't like them. But that's me. That's one bike I will never add. So. Yoli, did you have another question for us?
Yes. Normally, at least me, I use specific shoes to ride my bike. Do you have different shoes for every bicycle?
Not for every bicycle. I have two different shoes. I have road shoes and I have what I call adventure shoes. Okay. So the road shoes go on my road bike, and the adventure shoes, and it's not only the shoes, but it's the type of pedal that is connected to the bike, because it's how the connector is, right? There's lots of different types of connectors. So I have the same shoe on my road bike and on my trainer. And then I have the same shoe that goes on my two mountain bikes and my gravel bike, because that's kind of an adventure bike. And then I use flat pedals for everything else.
Okay, thank you.
All right, well,
interesting.
we'll go ahead and wrap this up, and I'll just leave it with, the right number of bicycles to have in your life is n+1, where n is the current number of bicycles that you have. Thank you very much, everybody.